You say you want success, but your habits prove you're in love with comfort. So let's stop pretending. You're not stuck. You're sedated.
You've built your whole life around comforting lies you're too scared to question. You act like you don't know why you're stuck, but deep down, you know exactly why. You built your entire existence on soft, pleasant lies designed to keep you sedated. You tell yourself you're doing your best while knowing you've never demanded your best. You soothe yourself with talk of timing while you waste years watching others do what you're too frightened to start. You pretend you're patient when the truth is you're just paralyzed. And you love these lies. They're warm, they're easy, they're safe, because they keep you from facing the truth that would burn your old self to ashes, the truth that you're not some helpless victim of circumstance. You're the architect of your own mediocrity. You built this prison. You chose every brick. You chose comfort over challenge, excuses over action, distraction over focus, numbing yourself with entertainment, gossip, envy, anything to avoid the silence where you'd have to hear your own conscience. You want to know why you're average? Because you worked hard to be. Because average is easy. Because it costs nothing up front. It demands no sacrifice. It asks nothing of you except everything in the long run. It drains your time, your potential, your spirit. But it lets you off the hook today. It gives you the perfect story to tell yourself that you're waiting for the right moment, that you're trying to figure it out, that you're doing fine, but you're not fine. You're unfulfilled, you're restless. You feel it gnawing at you every time you see someone do what you know you could do if you'd grow a spine. But you bury that feeling, don't you? You anesthetize it. You drown it in cheap entertainment and dopamine hits that cost nothing now but steal your future. Because the truth terrifies you. The truth that you're not living anywhere near your potential, that you could be so much more if you'd kill the part of you that insists on staying safe. But that would mean sacrifice. That would mean fear. That would mean pain. And you'd rather stay comfortable. You'd rather keep the lie alive. You tell yourself the world is unfair, that success is for others, that you don't have the resources, the support, the luck. But that's the biggest lie you've told yourself. Because the real problem isn't the world, it's you, your weakness, your laziness, your addiction to comfort, your refusal to face the ugly parts of yourself. You want motivation? Here it is. You're running out of time. Every day you waste is one you can't buy back. Every moment you choose comfort over growth is another nail in the coffin of your potential. You can keep lying to yourself that it's okay, that you have time, that you'll do it later, but you're not promised later. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. All you have is now, this moment, this chance to decide if you'll keep coddling your mediocrity or burn it to the ground. Most won't. Most will hear this and get defensive. They'll make excuses. They'll attack the messenger because it's easier to be offended than transformed. But I'm not here to comfort you. I'm not here to stroke your ego. I'm here to confront you. Because that's what it takes. You want to change? You want to break free? Then you have to kill the lies. The lie that you're doing enough. The lie that your circumstances are to blame. The lie that you're unlucky. The lie that you're waiting for the right time. You're not unlucky. You're undisciplined. You're not too busy. You're too uncommitted. You're not stuck. You're scared. And that fear owns you because you've never once stood up to it. You've negotiated with it, made friends with it. You've let it dictate your entire life because that way you never have to take responsibility, never have to risk failing publicly, never have to admit you're the reason you're behind. But that lie is killing you. It's killing your potential. It's killing your spirit. It's killing your peace because you know you're meant for more. You know it when you're alone with your thoughts. You know it when you see someone living freely, on purpose, on their own terms. It enrages you because it exposes you. It proves it's possible. And you can't stand that reminder, so you retreat further, deeper into distraction, deeper into complaining, deeper into the comfort of average. But you're here because something in you is done with that. Something in you wants to be free, wants to be honest, wants to demand more. But that part of you won't survive on lies. It needs the truth, the harsh, uncomfortable, unfiltered truth that you're the problem and you're the solution. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you discipline. No one is going to build your vision for you. No one is going to care about your legacy more than you. This is yours, all of it. The responsibility, the pain, the sacrifice, the glory. But only if you stop lying to yourself. Only if you decide that the truth is worth the discomfort. Break the addiction or stay broke forever. That's the choice. And you're making it right now. Your mind isn't yours. It's a puppet show you're too lazy to control. You let fear pull the strings. You let doubt write the script. You let every criticism and distraction direct your decisions. You act like you have no choice, as if your thoughts are handed to you by fate, as if your beliefs are stamped on your soul at birth. But that's the lie that keeps you average. Your mind is your greatest tool, but you treat it like a trash heap. You fill it with noise, scrolling, complaining, blaming, jealousy, envy of people willing to do what you refuse to. You let it consume garbage because it feels good, because you're too undisciplined to guard it, and then you wonder why you can't focus, why you're anxious, why you're overwhelmed, why you talk yourself out of every meaningful risk. Because you've trained your mind to betray you. You've taught it to expect failure, to seek comfort, to fear discomfort so much it will sabotage you at the first sign of challenge. You're not a victim of your thoughts. You're the author of them. You're the one rehearsing your doubts until they become your reality. You're the one repeating the same excuses until they become your truth. You're the one feeding your fear with your attention, and you're paying the price for it. In your results, in your peace, in your sense of purpose, because your mind doesn't care about what you say you want. It cares about what you feed it. You feed it fear, it will serve you terror. You feed it doubt, it will invent obstacles. You feed it excuses, it will justify your failure. You want to change your life? Change what you feed your mind, because no plan, no strategy, no goal survives a weak mindset. It will find a way to fail, to stall, to stay safe. It will convince you that risk is danger and failure is fatal. But failure isn't fatal. Avoiding failure is, because it means you avoid trying. You avoid growth. You avoid learning. You avoid progress. And so you stay exactly where you are, but you lie about it. You tell yourself you're waiting, that you're not ready, that you need to figure it out first. But you're not waiting. You're hiding. You're hiding from the truth that your mind is undisciplined, that you've let it wander wherever it wants, that you've treated it like an untrained animal and are surprised it bites you every time you try to lead, because you don't lead it. You follow it. You obey its fears, its insecurities, its weaknesses. You let it dictate your future based on your past. You let old wounds define new possibilities. You let failure become your identity, and you refuse to challenge it. Because challenging it is painful. It's uncomfortable. It means admitting you've been wrong, that your story about being helpless is a lie, that your excuses don't hold up under scrutiny, that you're capable of more but haven't demanded it. And that hurts. It's supposed to, because growth always hurts. It breaks what's weak. It destroys what's false. It reveals what's been holding you back. And that's terrifying if you've built your entire identity around your limitations. But it's the only way. You can't think like everyone else and expect to live differently. You can't feed your mind garbage and expect it to produce gold. You can't let fear run the show and expect to live free. You have to take control relentlessly, unapologetically. You have to choose what you feed it, not what's easy, not what's popular, not what's comfortable, what's true, what's useful, what moves you toward who you want to become. You have to train it to obey you, not the other way around. Most will never do this. They'd rather be entertained than educated. They'd rather be coddled than confronted. They'd rather be comfortable than capable. Because training your mind is war. It's war against your old beliefs, your excuses, your doubts, your fears. It's war against the part of you that loves being average, that loves being safe, that loves having a ready-made excuse for why you never tried. You have to kill that part of you ruthlessly, daily, without apology. You have to replace the old story with a new one where you are the cause, not the effect, one where you decide what you believe, what you focus on, what you commit to, because you're not a puppet unless you choose to be. You can cut the strings, you can rewire your mind to expect more, to demand more, to handle fear without obedience, but no one will do it for you. No book, no seminar, no motivational speech. You with your time, your discipline, your attention, your willingness to face what you don't want to see. That's the price. That's the path. Break the addiction or stay broke forever. That's the choice, and you're making it right now. You're addicted to your own excuses because they keep you safe from change. You treat your excuses like sacred truths. You defend them more fiercely than your dreams. You polish them, repeat them. Convince yourself they're logical because they protect you from doing the work, from risking failure, from confronting who you really are. Excuses are the currency of the average. They're cheap to make but cost you everything. Your peace, your growth, your freedom, your legacy. You don't even realize how often you use them, how automatically you reach for them, how easily you slip them into every conversation about your goals. I don't have time. I'm too busy. I don't know how. I'm too old. It's not the right season. I'm waiting for the perfect moment. But you know what all of that really means? I'm not willing to pay the price because time is made for what matters, because busy is just unprioritized, because not knowing is solved by learning, because age is irrelevant to the committed, because the perfect moment doesn't exist. It's all lies, elegant, convincing lies, because they let you off the hook. They give you permission to stay exactly where you are, to avoid the discomfort of change, to avoid the embarrassment of trying and failing, to avoid the responsibility of admitting you're the problem. Excuses are addictive because they give you an answer that requires nothing of you. No action, no sacrifice, no risk, just comforting stagnation. You get to feel justified while doing nothing. You get to feel righteous in your inaction. You get to blame anything but yourself, the economy, other people, bad luck, your upbringing, anything to avoid saying the truth. I'm not willing. That's the real reason you're not where you want to be. Not because you can't, because you won't. And that's the ugliest truth you can face. Because once you admit it, you have to change it. And change is terrifying. It's uncertain. It's painful. It costs the one thing you want to keep more than anything else, your comfort. That's why you build your life on excuses. They're insulation from the pain of accountability. They protect you from having to try and risk falling short. They let you live in the fantasy of someday. Someday you'll start. Someday you'll commit. Someday you'll be ready. But someday is the biggest lie you've ever sold yourself, because someday doesn't exist. There's only now. And every time you choose an excuse over action, you choose failure. You choose average. You choose regret. And you know it. You feel it every time you see someone living freely, boldly, unapologetically. You feel the jealousy. You feel the anger, because they prove it's possible. They prove your excuses are lies, and you hate them for it. But you don't hate them. You hate the mirror they hold up to you, the reflection you don't want to see. The truth that if you really wanted it, you'd be doing it, not talking about it, not making plans you never act on, not blaming everything and everyone, doing it. That's the difference. That's the line between the few who create their life and the many who endure it. The willingness to kill their excuses, to silence the voice that says, I can't, and replace it with, I will. To trade the comfort of justification for the discomfort of growth, because you can't have both. You can't hold on to your excuses and your potential. One has to die for the other to live. So you have to choose what matters more, being right about why you can't, or becoming the person who does, because the world doesn't care about your reasons. It doesn't care about your story. It only responds to what you do. You can keep reciting your excuses until the day you die and nothing will change. Or you can decide you're done. Done lying to yourself, done negotiating with your weakness, done blaming anything but your own unwillingness. Because once you kill the excuses, you're free. Free to fail, free to learn, free to try again, free to become who you know you could be. But freedom is scary because it means it's all on you. Your results, your choices, your standards, your habits. No one to blame, no one to save you, just you. But that's the price of greatness, the price of peace, the price of self-respect. You can't buy it with excuses. You pay for it with your own discomfort, your own discipline, your own relentless honesty. That's the requirement. That's the path. Break the addiction or stay broke forever. That's the choice, and you're making it right now. You pretend you don't know what you want, so you never have to admit you're too weak to go after it. You love saying you're lost, that you're figuring it out, that you need time to find clarity, because as long as you're searching, you're safe from starting, safe from failing, safe from the pain of realizing you're not yet who you want to be. It's a performance, a carefully crafted illusion to keep you comfortable in indecision, because clarity is dangerous. Clarity means you can't hide. It means you have to admit what you actually want. It means you have to face the terrifying truth that you're capable of more and that you're not doing it, because vision demands responsibility. It demands commitment. It demands sacrifice. Most people would rather wander than decide. They'd rather talk about possibilities than choose one, because choice means loss. It means killing off every other option. It means burning the bridges to maybe someday. It means owning the result. But you can't build anything without vision. You can't direct your life if you don't know where you're going. You can't lead yourself if you're unwilling to choose a destination. So you drift. You settle. You adapt to whatever scraps life hands you. You call it fate. You call it reality. But it's cowardice, because it's easier to say, I don't know what I want, than to admit you're too scared to pay the price to get it. The price of focus, the price of sacrifice, the price of discipline, the price of being misunderstood. Because when you have a real vision, you become dangerous. You can't be distracted by every shiny temptation. You can't be manipulated by other people's expectations. You can't be stopped by the petty inconveniences that derail the average. You're locked in, focused, unapologetic about what you're building, but you have to choose. You have to say it, write it, own it, even if it scares you, especially if it scares you, because fear is the compass. It points to what matters most, what you really want, what you'd pursue if you weren't so busy protecting your fragile ego. You think you're being realistic when you downplay your dreams. You think you're being responsible when you settle for less, but you're being a coward. You're refusing to admit what you want because you can't stand the idea of failing to get it. So you kill it before it can test you, before it can demand you become someone greater. But that dream doesn't die quietly. It haunts you. It shows up in your envy, in your restlessness, in your anger at those who dare to go after what you won't. It's the voice in your head asking if this is really it, if this is all you're willing to be. You can't silence it with more excuses, more distractions, more comforting lies. You can only silence it with action, with commitment, with the relentless pursuit of a vision so big it scares you sober, a vision that demands you sacrifice who you are for who you could be. But you have to choose it. You have to define it, not some vague wish, not some polite, socially acceptable goal, but what you really want, the thing that keeps you up at night, the thing you're terrified to say out loud, because once you say it, you're accountable. You can't pretend you don't know. You can't pretend you're lost. You can only choose to pursue it or betray it. Most will betray it. They'll convince themselves it's impossible. They'll collect evidence for why it can't be done. They'll surround themselves with people who confirm their limitations, because that's easier than admitting they chose average. But you're here because you're done with that, because you want to build something real, something lasting, something you can look back on without regret. But you don't get that by accident. You don't stumble into greatness. You architect it with intention, with clarity, with ruthless honesty about what you want and what it will cost. And it will cost comfort, approval, certainty, your old self. But that's the price. And it's fair, because the reward is priceless. Freedom, peace, pride, legacy, a life that means something, not because it was easy, but because you made it yours, because you refused to live by default, because you demanded more from yourself than anyone else ever would. That's what vision does. It forces you to grow. It burns away the trivial. It clarifies every decision. It turns distraction into insult, because you know exactly what you're building, and you won't apologize for it. So choose, say it, claim it, and refuse to let the fear of failure kill it before it's born. Break the addiction, or stay broke forever. That's the choice, and you're making it right now. You want transformation, but refuse to sacrifice even the slightest comfort to get it. You keep talking about change like it's a hobby, like it's something you can try on weekends, dabble in when you're inspired. But real change isn't casual. It's a blood pact. It demands you give up something you want now for something you want more. And you don't want to pay that price. You want to keep your comfort, your distractions, your cheap dopamine hits, your easy stories about why you can't. You want the glory without the grind, the success without the sacrifice, the transformation without killing the old self. But it doesn't work like that. You don't get to stay the same and become someone new. You don't get to keep everything you like about your current life while upgrading to your dream life. Something has to die. Your laziness, your fear, your excuses, your fragile ego, your addiction to comfort. But you treat sacrifice like it's unfair. You resent it. You see it as punishment. You complain that it's too hard, that you shouldn't have to, that you deserve ease, that you deserve balance. But balance is what you already have, balanced perfectly at average. Sacrifice is the only proof you're serious. Anyone can say they want it, anyone can fantasize about it, but sacrifice is the payment in advance for results. It's the test, the gate, the threshold that filters out the talkers from the doers. Most won't cross it. They'll look at it and shrink back. They'll convince themselves it's noble to settle, that it's wise to be realistic, that it's mature to give up. They'll call it acceptance, but it's surrender. It's quitting with better branding, because sacrifice is supposed to hurt. It's supposed to scare you. It's supposed to strip you of the old identity you're so desperate to keep, because that's the only way you make room for what you say you want. You can't fill a cup that's already full. You can't move forward while clinging to what holds you back. You have to let go of who you think you are, of who others expect you to be, of the comfortable life you've built around avoiding pain. Because pain is the toll. Pain is the teacher. Pain is the purifier that burns away what can't come with you. But you've been taught to avoid it at all costs. You've been sold the lie that comfort is the goal, that ease is the point, that you're supposed to seek safety above all. But safety is a cage. Comfort is the drug that keeps you sedated while your potential dies screaming. You think you're protecting yourself from pain, but you're only trading the pain of discipline now for the pain of regret forever. You don't escape pain. You choose which kind you're willing to endure, discipline or regret, sacrifice or stagnation, growth or decay, because nothing stays the same. You're either becoming stronger or weaker, clearer or more confused, more disciplined or more addicted to ease. There is no neutral. There is no pause button on life. So what are you sacrificing? Your future for your present, your dreams for your comfort, your potential for your excuses? because that's what's happening, whether you admit it or not. Every choice is a trade. Every yes is a no to something else. You say yes to scrolling, you say no to learning, you say yes to comfort food, you say no to health, you say yes to sleep, you say no to training, you say yes to approval, you say no to authenticity, you say yes to distraction, you say no to mastery. And you think you can avoid that cost by refusing to choose, but indecision is a choice to stay where you are, a choice to let life decide for you, a choice to drift into mediocrity by default. You want freedom? Earn it. You want respect? Demand it of yourself first. You want peace? Pay for it in advance with relentless honesty and ruthless sacrifice. No one will hand it to you. No one will do it for you. No one cares about your potential as much as you should. So stop crying about what you don't have and look at what you're unwilling to give up. Because that's the real barrier, not the world, not your circumstances, not other people. You, your refusal to sacrifice, your refusal to trade short-term pleasure for long-term power, your refusal to be uncomfortable, that's the addiction, that's the chain. And until you're willing to break it, you'll stay exactly where you are, pretending, planning, excusing, regretting, but never changing. Break the addiction or stay broke forever. That's the choice, and you're making it right now. You want freedom, but worship the chains you built for yourself. You claim you want to be free, free from worry, free from struggle, free to live life on your own terms. But you don't even own your own habits. You're a prisoner of your impulses, a slave to your distractions. You let comfort make your decisions for you. You bow to the god of convenience, and you dare to call that freedom? That's not freedom. That's surrender. That's obedience to everything that wants you weak. You've built chains one choice at a time, one skipped workout, 1 hour lost to mindless scrolling, one compromise with your standards, one I'll do it tomorrow, one it's not that serious. And now those chains own you. They define you because you think freedom is doing whatever you feel like. But real freedom is doing what's necessary even when you don't feel like it. Real freedom is self-mastery. It's the discipline to tell yourself no. No to the easy path. No to the quick hit of pleasure. No to the lie that you can have it all without sacrifice. But you won't say no because you've trained yourself to give in, to quit at the first hint of discomfort, to negotiate with the voice in your head that begs for relief. You think that voice is you, but it's your enemy. It's the part of you that wants you average, small, forgettable, safe. It whispers that you deserve a break, that you've done enough, that you can take it easy, that no one will know, but you'll know. And it's your life you're sabotaging every time you listen. Because discipline is the cost of freedom. It's the rent you pay to own yourself. It's the weapon you use to kill the old you, the lazy you, the scared you, the unfocused you. It's the daily war you fight with your lesser self. And it's not a one-time battle. It's every day, every moment, when no one's watching, when no one will give you credit, when it's just you and the mirror. That's where freedom is earned. But you want the reward without the fight. You want the respect without the discipline. You want the results without the sacrifice. You want to skip the part where you have to hold yourself accountable. So you lie to yourself. You tell yourself you're tired, that you deserve it, that everyone else is doing it. But you're not everyone else. You're supposed to be better, not because you're special, but because you demand it of yourself. Because you know what's at stake, because you refuse to die with your potential unspent. But that's not going to happen if you keep giving in. If you keep excusing the tiny failures, if you keep acting like discipline is optional, because every day you're either building your freedom or your prison, with every choice, with every action, with every habit. It's cumulative, and you know it. You can feel it in your chest when you choose the easy way. That pang of regret, that whisper that you're better than this, but you bury it with distraction, with comfort, with lies. You try to kill the voice of your own conscience so you can stay numb, but it never really dies. It just gets quieter until one day you can't hear it at all, and you realize you've become exactly what you said you'd never be: mediocre, undisciplined, forgettable, enslaved to the worst parts of yourself because you wouldn't pay the price of freedom. Discipline, relentless, unapologetic, non-negotiable. That's the only path. It's not about punishment. It's about respect, self-respect, the kind you can't buy, the kind you can't fake, the kind you only earn by doing the work no one sees, by refusing to betray yourself, by keeping the promises you make to you. That's real power, the power to say no to what you want now for what you want most. The power to suffer today so you can live free tomorrow. The power to look at yourself and know you didn't quit, that you didn't lie, that you didn't sell out for comfort. Because at the end of the day, it's you versus you, your potential versus your excuses, your dreams versus your fear, your discipline versus your weakness. You choose who wins. Every day, every moment. That's the real battle. And most will lose because they never even show up for the fight. They surrender before they start. They choose the chains, but you don't have to. You can choose differently. You can choose the hard path, the disciplined path, the path that demands everything and gives back even more. But only if you're willing to pay, break the addiction, or stay broke forever. That's the choice. And you're making it right now. You fold at the first sign of resistance and call it bad luck so you can feel better about quitting. You love to talk about how tough you are, how you don't quit, but you quit all the time. You just don't call it that. You call it changing your mind. You call it being realistic. You call it self-care. You give it pretty names so you don't have to admit the truth, that you couldn't handle the pressure, that you ran the second things got heavy, that you wanted the reward but not the weight. Because resistance exposes you. It reveals whether you actually want what you say you want or whether you were just in love with the fantasy. Anyone can want success in theory. Anyone can be motivated when it's easy. But resistance tests your sincerity. It asks you, how badly do you want this? What are you willing to suffer for? How much of your old self are you willing to kill? And most people fail that test. They act like the first obstacle is proof they're on the wrong path. They say it's a sign to stop, a sign to give up. But the obstacle is the path. The resistance is the teacher. It's the fire that burns away what isn't real. It exposes your weakness so you can fix it. It humiliates your ego so you can grow. It demands you become stronger. But you don't want stronger. You want easier. You want softer. You want a life so padded and protected that you never have to confront the reality of your own limits. You want guarantees before you act, certainty before you commit, results without risk. But that doesn't exist. Resilience isn't optional. It's the cost of entry. It's the toll you pay for anything meaningful, because life will hit you, plans will fail, people will disappoint you, you will disappoint yourself, and if you're soft, you'll collapse. You'll lie there waiting for someone to rescue you. You'll tell yourself the world is unfair, that it's too hard, that you weren't meant for more. But if you're resilient, you'll rise again and again and again because you know there's no other choice, because you understand that the only way out is through. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's about refusing to be defeated by it. It's about taking the hit and getting back up. It's about being so stubborn, so relentlessly committed that nothing can make you quit. But you don't build that by accident. You build it by choosing it, by saying no to the easy way, by welcoming the challenge, by understanding that suffering isn't the enemy. It's the forge. It's where you become who you're supposed to be. But you resist the forge. You avoid the heat. You complain when life isn't smooth. You curse the obstacles instead of thanking them for revealing your weaknesses, because you want change without challenge. You want growth without pain. You want the strength of someone who's suffered without suffering yourself. It doesn't work that way. Every time you quit when it's hard, you train yourself to be weaker. You reinforce the story that you can't handle it. You make yourself smaller. You shrink your capacity until one day even the smallest discomfort feels impossible. And you call that normal. You convince yourself everyone is like that. But you weren't born like that. You chose it. One compromise at a time, one surrender at a time, one excuse at a time. You want to stop choosing it? Stop quitting. Stop looking for the exit the moment you feel pressure. Stop convincing yourself you're a victim of circumstances you refuse to fight. Choose to stay in the fire. Choose to let it burn away what's weak. Choose to let it harden you, not into someone cruel, but someone unbreakable. Because resilience isn't just for you. It's for everyone you'll lead, everyone who depends on you, everyone who watches you to see if it's possible. Your resilience gives them permission to be strong. Your weakness gives them permission to quit. So choose what you want to model. Choose what you want to leave behind, because you're building something with every choice, a legacy of excuses or a legacy of unrelenting strength. But don't lie about it. Don't pretend you can have one without paying for it with the other. You want resilience? Earn it. Earn it with your tears, your sweat, your repeated failures, your refusal to stay down, because that's the only way it's real. No one can give it to you. No one can sell it to you. No one can build it for you. You have to forge it yourself, in the dark, in the doubt, in the moments when giving up would be easier than breathing. That's the test. That's the requirement. Break the addiction or stay broke forever. That's the choice. And you're making it right now. You're living like you have forever when every day you waste is proof you don't. You act like time is infinite, like you can waste today and somehow buy it back tomorrow. You treat your life like a rehearsal, as if you'll get another chance to be who you could have been. But you won't. This is it. This one brief, brutal, beautiful shot, and you're squandering it, trading it for comfort, for distraction, for meaningless arguments and cheap entertainment. You're betting your legacy on the lie that there's time to spare, that you can always start later, that you'll get serious when it's the right moment. But the right moment is a graveyard where dreams go to die, because you don't get to choose when life ends. You only get to choose what you do with the time you have, and you're wasting it. You're squandering your potential by refusing to act, by refusing to decide, by refusing to demand more from yourself. You'll blame everything else, the world, circumstances, other people, but you're the warden of your own prison. You're the executioner of your own dreams, because you don't want to pay the price of freedom, because you don't want to suffer now for what you want most, because you'd rather have easy today even if it costs you everything tomorrow. You want to talk about regret? That's regret. Regret isn't some abstract fear of dying someday. It's the knowledge you never even tried, that you traded the life you wanted for the life that was convenient, that you sold your potential for a cheap temporary high, that you lived like you'd have forever while time laughed in your face. And you know it. That's the ache you feel when you're alone. That's the voice that whispers you're meant for more. That's the anger you feel watching someone else do what you won't, because they prove it was always possible, that it wasn't the world, it wasn't luck. It was you, your choices, your standards, your tolerance for mediocrity. You can't escape that truth. You can bury it in excuses, in comfort, in distraction, but you'll carry it with you to the end, unless you decide to kill it now. To kill the part of you that's satisfied with average, to kill the part that trades meaning for ease, to kill the part that's willing to die with your potential unspent, because that's the real death, not when your heart stops beating, but when you stop demanding anything of it, when you let fear run your life, when you let excuses define you, when you look in the mirror and see someone you don't respect. That's the death you should fear, because that's the one you choose. Every day you refuse to act, every day you settle, every day you negotiate with your weakness. You want a legacy? Then pay for it with your discipline, your discomfort, your ruthless honesty, your relentless effort. No one will hand it to you. No one owes you greatness. No one is coming to save you from yourself. This is on you. You're the hero or the villain in your own story. You're the builder or the destroyer of your own future. You decide, not once, but every day, with every choice, every thought you let stay, every habit you reinforce, every standard you enforce, because your legacy isn't what you say you want, it's what you're willing to suffer for, what you're willing to sacrifice for, what you're willing to stay in the fight for when everyone else quits. Most won't do it. They'll live small lives with big excuses. They'll trade meaning for safety, impact for comfort, truth for lies that help them sleep. They'll die with the best of them still inside. But you don't have to. You don't have to be average. You don't have to live on your knees begging for permission to matter. You don't have to be another casualty of comfort. You can choose. You can choose to demand more, to burn away the lies you've built around yourself, to hold your own feet to the fire and refuse to let go until you've transformed, to kill the old self that chose safety over significance, to build a new self from the ashes, one defined by action, by discipline, by sacrifice, by truth. That's the choice, not tomorrow. Now, because tomorrow is a lie, later is a lie, someday is a lie, there is only now, this breath, this decision, this moment where you decide whether you'll keep coddling the part of you that wants to stay safe, or if you'll break it, break the addiction, or stay broke forever. That's the choice, and you're making it right now. The world makes way for those who dare to rise. Click the Rise button now to subscribe and claim the destiny waiting for you. Your time is now.